Hi there, and welcome to the intro to advisory sessions. So let me put up my welcome screen here first of all to welcome everyone. You can ignore the starting in 2 minutes. I'll just jump into this now. So thanks for coming in to watching this intro. It'll be quite short. I'll keep it to around maybe 15 minutes. And if you're watching this live, hope you get some enjoyment out of it and learn a bit about what the advisory sessions are. But also I'll be saving this to Instagram as well. So for anyone who's looking back on this within the next 2 months, I hope you get the benefits from it as well. And also if you've watched until the end, you'll get a discount code as well that can be used up until the end of November. So I'll bring up the next screen in terms of what I'm looking to cover today, which will be quite brief. So the first thing is just a quick introduction into myself, why I'm doing this and all of that. There's a reason I'm providing advisory sessions, why I want to do it, and I'm very excited about it. Then going into the what and why of advisory sessions. And then finally, by just finishing up by looking at areas of interest. There's many areas in any business that can be looked at. So I'll go through kind of some of the areas that I'm kind of going into with people at the moment. So in terms of myself, my background is actually in business and information systems management. So business is quite explanatory, but information systems management is actually about bridging the gap between kind of real life business events and also then bridging the gap into technology. And it's something I really loved when I went into college. And I actually ended up working in the creative arts market by creating technological solutions over in New York since 2017. And it's there that I really learned that I loved creating products for the creative market. I actually worked on Broadway and we created products for singers and actors and producers. So it's no surprise that I'm kind of back working on my own project now for visual artists here in Ireland and abroad. So I guess a little bit of background of what I'm doing right now. I started the company Tonnta this year, and Tonnta means waves, and I love the Irish word for waves because it kind of exemplifies every visual artist that I work with, because every single person and their business is very unique to themselves. They all have their ebb and flows, and I feel that all of those businesses and those visual artists, they deserve the respect and to have the empathy towards their businesses. And that's what I want to provide to them through the advisory sessions, but also through the app I'm working on. And while the app is still kind of under wraps, if you follow us here on Instagram or go to tonnta.io, you can keep up to date there of when the app will be live. And that will be an app to help you with managing your online engagement through email and Instagram for now, but also we'll be expanding into the likes of WhatsApp and Facebook and text messages after that as well. So as part of the research phase for the app then, I've actually interviewed over 100 artists at this point, and I do so every single week, continue talking to artists all the time. So I do see where there are gaps in terms of supports that are available out there to them. So that's where I want to come in and kind of provide that support for them. So the next thing I want to go into is what exactly are advisory sessions. So advisory sessions, I would kind of describe them as mini workshops, and I usually keep them to the hour or an hour and a half. And most of them are actually done online as people are in different locations. But if you are located in Galway or would like to come to Galway, we can book a nice space here in the Portishead. This is where I work in Galway City. It's a nice spot to be. And within that hour and a half, we kind of go through your business processes in terms of what's your day-to-day or your week-to-week kind of systems. And one way I actually do that I find very beneficial is to go through what's called a customer journey map. And I'll just kind of swing the camera on very briefly here now to show you. This is Miro. So Miro is a online whiteboard, and basically you can do anything on it. But I love using this template, which goes through the customer journey of the point where they learn about you, and which is called the discovery part. Engagement, when they first get in contact with you. Then there's the consideration, when they're thinking about, will I buy a piece or not, or what do I need to do? And then there's purchase, and then there's post-purchase. And the reason I use this is because it really shows you every step of the business that the customer is engaging with you. And it's very important that you have a system in place for every step along the way for the customer. And it all interlinks, the work that you do for the business to kind of keep on going, and also how the customer interacts, they work with each other. So this exercise usually takes around maybe 10 minutes, but it gives a huge amount of insight, and it's lovely to use, a visual component as well to see how your customers engage with you and the systems you have in place in order to support the customer along that journey as well. So that's kind of how the advisory session work. But before there is even an advisory session, I always have what's called a discovery call. So a discovery call is basically maybe 10 to 15 minutes. We have a phone chat, and it's for me to see if I can actually give you value through an advisory session or not. If we can, I have a good foundation of understanding already of what you need from an advisory session. So I'll have things prepared for you in advance so that we kind of hit the ground running once we go into that Zoom call. But if I don't maybe know how to help you within certain areas, if it's something more complex or an area that I really don't have understanding about, I'll make sure to put you in the right direction, whether it's resources online or different agencies that you can, get benefit from more than you would with me. So just to make sure that we're all on the same page and kind of respecting each other's time in that regards. So then the next thing I would talk about is, why would you do advisory sessions? I would actually ask, why wouldn't you do it? I think it's very hard when you're a one-person team, and most visual artists are, to do everything alone, because it's your own perspective all the time, and it's very easy to get stuck on tasks and challenges and to find your way out of it as well. I know that because I'm also a solo entrepreneur. I'm working alone at the moment as well. But I heard within the Porter Shed here, which is a co-working space I live in, there's one person who was working from home during the pandemic and the lockdowns, and they had 2 weeks where they had this one challenge they could not get through, and they were just stuck on it. And they said within 2 minutes of being in the Porter Shed and just having a casual chat with someone, they figured out what they could do in order to solve that problem, to solve that challenge. So it's kind of the same thing that I want to help visual artists do through advisory sessions. If there's a roadblock there, you don't need to be stuck in it, and you don't need to figure it out alone, especially from a different perspective as well, because a lot of visual artists, I found, they have a great network of peers and friends that are great in helping them. But for me, I've worked directly with artists so far, and I see where there are the ups and downs and where you can kind of like come up with solutions. So I think that's kind of why you should do advisory sessions, if you're stuck in a roadblock, or if you want to get that clarity moving forward to whatever your next step in the business might be. So then there's the question of, who is it for? So for me, there are a few categories of artists. So for the sake of the business, I kind of classify them into 3 groups. There are emerging artists. Those are people that are maybe coming out of college, people are just starting off for the very first time. Then you have mid-career artists, and these are people who have established brands and processes, and they want to grow their business. And these are the main people that I want to help. And then you have established artists then, people who maybe already have maybe an admin person or something that can take over some of the business, so they're not doing it all alone. But for the mid-career artists, which is the main people I want to help, I see the difficulties they have when they reach a certain point of success. If you're being recognized online, for example, if you're on Instagram, and if you put out a post and you generate a lot of engagement through that post, that's a lot of investment of your time and energy in order to keep up with all the engagement and all the queries that might come through. And that takes away from your creative time, which is the time you're meant to be creating your artwork. And if you're not creating your artwork, then you're not doing enough money to invest back into your business to get to the point where you want to go. And I feel this happens to a lot of artists, that they just reach this wall and it's hard to get over it. So I'll be looking to help you kind of build the steps to kind of jump over that wall through simple and easy intuitive systems that we can put in place. But also I am taking on a few emerging artists as well, people who are starting off for the very first time. I find at the very beginning it's important for you to be very creative as well in terms of how you lay out your groundwork. So a lot of people do that alone, but I'm more than happy to, some of the allotments I have for the advisory sessions are for people who are emerging artists as well. So feel free to contact me if you're one of those people as well. So then, there are the benefits of advisory sessions as well. And this can be very different for everyone. Everyone is looking for a different outcome. But there's kind of three main goals that I have that can help everyone, no matter what kind of situation they're in, especially for visual artists. And the first one is reclaim time. Because what happens for a lot of visual artists is when they start going into the admin, it can feel like they're stuck in the mud and they're a bit stuck in trying to get to the next step. So by helping you kind of see where in the admin or the business process you get stuck, we can then look at what easy solution can we put in place there to get your time back and reinvest it back into your creativity, or maybe you just want to have more quality time for yourself. Then the second benefit that I want to provide is a better headspace. A lot of artists, express that they need to have a good and clear headspace when they're doing their artwork. And the same really applies for your admin work as well. And I see that there's no reason that you shouldn't feel that clarity when you're working within the business side as well. And really, it's all creativity. You can bring the creativity that you have for your work into the business side as well and see it from that perspective. So that's where I'd like to help you kind of have the solutions and systems in place to allow you to kind of get into that mindset. And then finally, to achieve goals. So I think for this, it's very important to have clarity to whatever your goals might be, because the more clear you are, the better it is for you moving forward, and the better it is for you then to implement those micro systems, those micro steps that will help you get to those goals. And for visual artists, that might be about, expanding their medium of work, whether it's going into different formats such as prints, or if they want to go into different geographies, or they want a bigger studio. It could be anything. So I want to help create clarity around what are the steps in order to get to that point. So that are the benefits. And then there's the areas of the business that we can look at as well. And this will vary so much for everyone. And some people, they want to look at a few areas. Other people, then they want to focus on one specific thing. So, you can see here, there's the likes of sales. We can look at, what can make it easier for a customer to purchase from you. Is the process easy to do that? Then there's admin in terms of if you're getting stuck with paperwork or certain things like that, where can we make it a bit easier to kind of finesse that system? Marketing then is very broad. So you could be looking at the likes of social media marketing. You could be looking at content marketing. You could be looking at traditional marketing such as print. So it all depends on, again, the customer journey mapping. Where are the customers finding you? Or where do you need to look for them or make yourself aware to them? So that's very specific to every single artist and who's purchasing from them. So, that's a whole area in itself. Then there's digital solutions. There's so many solutions out there, like apps and platforms. And for me, I'm a research nut. So if there's anything that you need to implement a certain system, leave it to me to kind of look at all the alternatives, all the options you have out there in terms of functionality, price, usability, and just to kind of take away those few hours that you might be researching online yourself, and I can help you then kind of implement that app or platform or whatever it might be. And then finance is another example. I think it's very important for anyone really to have a good grasp on their finances, and I've learned it doesn't have to be that complicated either. You can keep it very simple. And I think if you can have an idea of how much money you need for certain purposes, whether it's just for day-to-day living or you want to get enough money in order to maybe purchase a new studio or rent a new place. By having it down on paper and seeing those numbers, it's always there in the back of your mind then, in terms of like for every action you take, it's more intentional than if you think you want something but you're not really attaching to it because you're afraid maybe of it, that it won't happen. More than likely it won't happen. But if you have that goal, and then if you can align the financial side of that as well in a very easy way for you to kind of like look at and to understand what the next step is for you, then that's a good place to be in. So I'm coming now to the end, and I just want to say for anyone who's watching this that I'll be providing a discount of 20%, so that instead of having €75 for the advisory session, which is an hour and a half, and I also throw in 2 follow-up calls with that as well. So if someone ever gets stuck within implementing any of the solutions that we kind of work together on, I'm there to kind of help you kind of take that roadblock away again. So it's usually €75, but I'll be providing it for the price of €50 for each advisory session plus follow-ups. So you can mention just InstaLive in the message, whether it's direct message on Instagram. I'm also on other social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest. Also, you can check out the website, tonnta.io, or email me directly at diarmuid@tonnta.io. So I hope this was beneficial to whoever's watching. And as you know, just message me at any point if you need any help. And hope you have a great rest of your day. Slán go fóill.